Coronation Street viewers finally discovered the truth behind Theo Silverton's death earlier this week after months of mystery. And now another Weatherfield resident has learned what really happened. During Monday's dramatic dinner party episode, a series of flashbacks confirmed that Sarah Platt was responsible for Theo's fatal fall before she immediately contacted Gary Windus for help. The pair's unusual behavior over recent weeks suddenly became clear as Gary stepped in to help Sarah hide her involvement in Theo's death. Meanwhile, DC Kit Green remained convinced that Gary was the killer and continued putting pressure on him throughout the investigation. In Thursday's episode, Gary and Kit clashed in a tense confrontation, with Todd Grimshaw stepping in to calm the situation before it got out of hand. During the argument, Gary accidentally hinted that the real killer was much closer to Kit than he realized, leaving Todd suspicious and searching for answers. Later, Todd confronted Sarah at her flat and pleaded with her to stop hiding the truth from him. After initially resisting, Sarah finally admitted that she had caused Theo's death and revealed exactly how the tragic incident unfolded. She explained the events leading up to the fatal moment and why everything spiraled out of control, but her confession only left Todd devastated. After walking away from the flat, Sarah reached breaking point and headed to the Rovers for a drink, while Todd wrestled with the difficult decision of whether to inform the police. In the end, Todd made his choice and arranged one final emotional conversation with Sarah in the Rovers beer garden. He admitted that he had wanted the chance to prove to Theo that he could move forward with his life, but believed Sarah had taken that opportunity away forever. Despite his anger and heartbreak, Todd confessed he still cared too deeply about Sarah to see her sent to prison, so he decided to keep her secret. However, he also made it clear that their friendship had come to an end, telling Sarah there was no way things could ever return to normal. Although Sarah escaped immediate consequences, it was obvious that the weight of her actions continued to haunt her. Before the episode ended, Sarah uncovered an important new detail about the attack she suffered on the same night. The shocking discovery could completely transform the investigation and have huge consequences for everyone involved. Viewers will have to keep watching to learn exactly what Sarah uncovered and how it could change everything. Coronation Street first look as Tyrone Dobbs faces a life-changing family surprise. Coronation Street has released an exclusive preview showing Tyrone Dobbs coming face-to-face with his biological father for the very first time next week. When Ross arrives at the bistro, Tyrone is left completely stunned, while his mother Cassie is even more surprised by the unexpected reunion. Earlier in the week, Cassie becomes upset over the difficulties in her relationship with Steve and ends up drinking at Chariot Square, where she strikes up a flirtatious conversation with a stranger. Feeling regret over her actions, Cassie later returns home, where Hope invites her to join a family meal, and Steve assures her that he wants to move on from their recent problems. During the family gathering, Ruby and Hope confess that they secretly submitted some of Tyrone's DNA to an ancestry website, which led them to discover the identity of his father. They also reveal that they had been exchanging messages with Ross while pretending to be Tyrone, even arranging for the two men to finally meet. Moments later, Ross walks into the bistro, leaving Tyrone overwhelmed as he struggles to process the unexpected encounter. The situation becomes even more awkward for Cassie when she realizes Ross is the same man she had been flirting with at Chariot Square just days earlier. A source from Weatherfield explained that the discovery will completely transform Tyrone's life, especially after only recently reconnecting with his mother a few years ago. According to the insider, meeting his biological father in person is a huge emotional moment that will take time for Tyrone to fully accept, while Cassie also faces a difficult adjustment. Upcoming episodes will show Tyrone gradually becoming more open to building a relationship with Ross after the two families come together for a meal with Steve and Tracy. The big question now is whether Cassie will encourage Tyrone to get to know his father or struggle to accept Ross becoming part of their lives. Coronation Street reveals Abby and Alfie's shocking health crisis as black mold horror unfolds. Coronation Street has set the stage for an emotional new storyline after dangerous black mold is discovered inside Abby Webster's flat, putting young Alfie's health in serious danger. Without realizing the true cause, Abby has been living in unhealthy conditions, while the hidden mold has quietly been making Alfie increasingly unwell. In the latest episode, Abby left yet another unanswered voicemail for her landlord after spending 2 weeks trying to report the worsening damp problem. Frustrated by the lack of response, she complained about the constant moisture and a strange smell that seemed to become stronger every day. Abby admitted to Leanne that she did not even know who actually owned the property, explaining that a damaged drain was causing a leak that had never been properly repaired. At the same time, Leanne was dealing with problems of her own after discovering Idris had silenced her phone, causing her to miss an important visit with Sam. Trying to make amends, Idris sent Leanne a large bouquet of flowers before visiting Speed Dahl to ask for another chance. Just as Leanne decided to forgive him, Abby arrived while desperately trying to contact her landlord by phone. Moments later, Idris's phone started ringing, leaving Abby stunned when she realized the person she had been trying to reach was standing directly in front of her. Furious, Abby accused Idris of ignoring her repeated complaints and branded him a terrible landlord after finally uncovering his identity. Later that evening, Abby returned home and tucked Alfie into bed, but became worried after noticing his persistent cough and decided he needed a doctor's appointment. As the scene came to a close, viewers were shown thick black mold spreading across the wall behind Alfie's bed, revealing the frightening cause of his illness. Upcoming episodes will see Alfie rush to hospital after suffering severe breathing difficulties linked to the dangerous mold inside the flat. Idris is left horrified after learning that the property he recently purchased has resulted in Alfie being admitted to hospital. Determined to discover how the home was allowed to fall into such poor condition, Idris begins investigating the property's previous owner. Meanwhile, Abby joins forces with Sally Metcalf and seeks legal advice from Adam Barlow, hoping to take legal action and secure compensation for what happened. The storyline becomes even darker as Idris refuses to let the matter rest and decides to confront the man who sold him the property. According to Weatherfield sources, Idris believes the previous landlord is responsible for the shocking state of the flat and becomes determined to make him answer for it. However, instead of relying on legal action, Idris chooses a far more dangerous approach to settle the score. Future scenes will reveal Idris teaming up with Brody Michaelis to abduct the former landlord and force a confrontation. After buying several properties without carrying out proper inspections, Idris realizes he made a costly mistake, but by then the damage has already been done. Although he genuinely wants to make things right, he soon decides that someone else should be held responsible for the tragedy. The pair eventually force the former landlord into a car before taking him to an isolated location where Brody violently threatens him while Idris watches from the sidelines. Despite trying to avoid getting his own hands dirty, Idris's ruthless actions expose a much darker side to his personality. As the storyline unfolds, viewers will discover whether Abby succeeds in holding Idris legally responsible or if the truth about the flat's condition changes everything.